Leadership is not taught. Leadership is caught. And leadership is not a position or a title. Leadership is a choice we make every day.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Book. On this episode, I have the opportunity, the blessing of interviewing one of my besties, business besties, but also one of my sisters, Sandra Gonzalez. I want to tell you something. We're recording at a space during Limitless Live, which is Jim Quick's event, and you might be looking at us, looking around, people passing, because this is a hotel, but I don't want you to get distracted, okay? I want you to pay attention to this interview because it's so powerful that it's going to transform your life if you let it. Welcome, Sandra. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes to this conversation, because this is what this is going to be. This is going to be a conversation between friends, because that's what we are. We actually met a couple of years ago, networking at events, Las Vegas, Miami. We have so many different experiences, but something I want you to know, and the reason why I actually begged Sandra today to be on my podcast is because she has a message for every single leader that I really want her to share with us. How are you doing today? Tell us a little bit about you. I want my friends and the people watching that actually get to know you a little bit, to tell them who you are.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's an absolute honor to be here. My name is Sandra Gonzalez. I'm a retired Marine officer turned executive coach, TEDx international speaker, now an author. And I served 20 years of honorable service as a U.S. Marine. I help leaders cultivate sexy confidence because after serving 20 years of honorable service, I realized that the most successful leaders are the leaders who can create psychological safety for themselves and for those they lead. And I am so grateful to be here sharing this message with you now because sexy confidence is a mindset. It's an attitude that enables leaders on a global scale to cultivate that sexy confidence so they know when to take command of a room and they know when to comfort one. And when you have that wisdom, you can understand when you need to create that psychological safety so you can be an influential leader. Because most leaders, yes, Keren, they know how to be confident. However, most do not know how to stay calm and composed in high stakes environments. Most don't understand what it means to lead with that composure, that's needed to create that psychological safety. So that is one of the many things I experience that the most successful leaders that I, followed knew how to create psychological safety.
And I want to ask you, because to me, when it was funny, because when we were having this conversation about you being in the military, I wasn't aware of all the things that you lived in the military, all the places that you served. Do you want to share a little bit on that? Because when you say Iraq, when you say all these names, I've seen it on TV. I've seen it on, for me, I could never imagine I would meet someone that was actually there. And what are those things and those experiences? Because for you, it was your job. It was something you had to do. But how did all of those things shaped you as someone that now is transforming, helping the lives of so many other leaders out there?
Yes. So, and I have to be very clear. I never did go to Iraq specifically.
Oh yeah, that was just pretty much like how I was seeing the going to outside other countries and serving military.
Absolutely. And I'm very transparent. What I did experience was I was a Marine Corps drill instructor who trained over 500 women recruits for the rigors of combat. And through that experience, I realized the importance of developing a bulletproof mindset. And this specifically was taught to me because leadership, I will share, Keren, leadership is not taught. Leadership is caught. And leadership is not a position or a title. Leadership is a choice we make every day to step into the best version of ourselves. So this leader that I had the honor of serving with or under, he was this gentleman that I talk about in my book, by the way, who cultivated sexy confidence. He stayed calm and composed in high stakes environments. And this gentleman was my colonel. He was my commanding officer. And he would often tell the Marines, be professional, be calm, but have a plan to kill everyone you meet. Now, this is strategic communication, which is very applicable to U.S. Marines. And it's one of the things that leaders need to understand. How to communicate with the people they lead, strategic thinking. But the thing that he said that left an indelible mark in my heart was when he said, but we must first win the hearts and the minds of the people. And it was in that moment that I realized I'm a servant leader. I love people. I love inspiring the masses. And it was in that moment I realized we need to build trust and respect before we can lead someone. And from there, I fell in love with leadership, and that's what brings me here today.
And do you think, like, this is a question I'm sure a lot of people ask you, do you think leaders are born or they're made? Because I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story of mine. My mom used to be called by my teachers when I was in elementary school saying, hey, Keren is organizing the whole group, asking them to go against homework, you know? And it's funny because I've always had this, I don't know, it's my style of leadership. And so people think that you have to be this way or this way to be a leader. But I think the moment that you actually find yourself, and well, I found it a very early age, I guess. Because, but tell me if that's something for people that feel like, okay, I try to lead, but they don't listen. My team is just disorganized. I think every company, the reflection of the company is a reflection of the leadership and the culture and the like. We love to blame our teams, but the reality is they're a reflection of the leader they have,
Yeah.
the owner of the company and the decision makers.
Absolutely. And to answer your first question, leadership is a skill set that can be developed. Some have it naturally, like Keren, which automatically drew me to her. Because as soon as I met her, I realized this woman is what I call a chingona. She's
Sexy.
badass. She's got this sexy confidence. Who she knows she understands who she is and what she stands for. And going back to the leadership component, it's important that we continuously develop our leadership persona because it is what will help us scale our teams, is what will help us build trust and rapport, because people don't leave jobs or occupations. They leave bosses. And bad ones who don't have the skill sets, the soft skills they need to lead and connect with people, to understand, to develop emotional intelligence, and know when Susie comes into work and she's having a bad day, and taking the moment to pause and ask thought-provoking questions, which is, I've seen you do it first.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And this is why we naturally became sisters.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm very naturally curious. I'm very inquisitive. I love learning. And I think that's something that comes natural.
Yes.
And it's not about me trying to make the right or the wrong questions. I just genuinely want to know. So I think like kids sometimes ask questions because they want to learn. And that's something I feel like a lot of leaders try to fake their leadership.
Yes.
And people can feel it.
Oh,
if you're faking your leadership, if you're trying to copy someone else, people will feel it. And actually today, someone told me, "Oh, you have a very natural way of approaching people."
do.
And I was like, "Well, I'm just being myself. I'm just drinking a coffee. I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm just having joy in my life, and that's what makes my day." And enjoying the conversation that I had with my team this morning. Natural, because I'm actually learning how to own my own leadership, but also developing discipline. And I think that's another thing that I wanted to ask you. Do you think it's possible to be a good leader without self-discipline?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. You're talking to someone with a militant way of thinking. Discipline. I love discipline. I love discipline. It's something that I practice, something that I preach, because if you have the self-discipline to stay calm and composed in high stakes environments, you're going to have the self discipline to do other things in your life and your business that need to get done. Because, a leader has so many jobs, and most of these leaders unfortunately lead to burnout. So the key is to developing self discipline so you can take care of yourself first and foremost. If you can take care of yourself, then everything else falls into place.
You know what? You and I spend a lot of time with high-level entrepreneurs, business owners, decision makers, people that are making an impact in the world. But I'm surprised how many of these ones are actually struggling with, I'm going to do it. I'm forcing myself to actually, instead of enjoying being a leader.
Yeah.
I think leadership should be something that we all enjoy. It's not for, I like to think it's not for everyone, and the reason why I like to think it's not for everyone, because not everyone is willing to challenge themselves.
Exactly.
It's only for those who want to challenge themselves first. How can you actually go and lead a team if you cannot even lead yourself, if you cannot even command your own heart, your own mind, your own soul? And that's an ongoing work, because we're growing up, and now I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I have to talk to myself different. I have to challenge myself different. I don't challenge myself as a leader for the same things I was challenging myself before. But I think that having someone like you who actually has a group that it's supporting. Sometimes you were not born as a leader. You are not in an environment where you've been taught how to lead, and you need to get to the right rooms where you can feel like supported. You can feel like you can be yourself, and you can be vulnerable about how do I feel as a leader and what am I missing, and have people like you who it's like very spot on. You're doing that wrong, and then you don't feel judged. You just feel that you have companionship, and then that you feel like you belong to a group that is supportive.
Yes. And this is why it's so important to, support these like-minded high achievers, men and women leaders that are aspiring to be better in the personal and professional aspect, because it does come down to self-discipline. But there comes a point, we're human beings, amiga. We're human beings. And human beings naturally have, we have flaws. And when you surround yourself in an environment that is not as supportive, an environment who's questioning you, and most of these leaders are, they feel lonely because they're at the top. So what do you do now to get that support system to motivate you along the way? You find someone who's going to hold you accountable. And that's where I share with my clients, I'm just, it's an honor to be a guide by your side. A guide by your side who can help you bridge the gaps and help you see what you might not be seeing, so you don't get complacent, because leadership is not about complacency. Leadership is about challenging ourselves, challenging the status quo. And when you realize, how am I challenging myself today to step outside my comfort zone? That becomes a high caliber habit. And when you adopt these high caliber habits, now you're practicing what you preach. Now you're naturally attracting more of the men and women that you want on your team, your business, so you can scale. So it does come down to accountability. It does come down to responsibility.
Yeah, and today, the conversation was about leaders that are always busy and they never have time for a coach. But the truth is, we all need a coach. We all need a mentor. We all need that. we know that we can do it, but if you have someone that is holding yourself accountable, it's all about the relationship also that you're building with your coach. Kobe Bryant had a coach, like this athlete, you see them and they have a coach, they have someone that it's just not only guiding them, but it's also holding them if they need to. It's just spotting things that we cannot see. And I think that's very valuable. Sometimes people they're looking for that validation or also that support from their friends and their family.
Yes.
And their team. That is, they're not going to be as transparent as you would be with them about their leadership because you're an outsider.
Right, right. Yeah.
How do you support this leaders to go to the next level?
Such a great question. So one of the things that I do to support these leaders is I provide a group coaching, for these specific leaders, and I help them remain locked and loaded. And locked and loaded is one of the things that I realized when I was in the military. I was ready when I had when I was fit. I had the mental bandwidth to think outside the box. I felt like I was a weapon, so to speak, that was locked and loaded. So from my experience, I've created a locked and loaded leaders cohort, group coaching that helps this individual through like a 7-step process, understand how to not only remain confident when in a high stakes environment, but to remain calm and composed, compassionate, because developing our emotional intelligence is super important. First and foremost, amiga, understand ourselves. When you develop this,
what are we capable of? Right? Like on the set.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this fake expectations we have of ourselves. Sometimes we see ourselves too big or too small. Like how do we actually go to that reality? And I think that's something that you're helping all these entrepreneurs and business owners to be aware of their reality today. And how far they can also go. Just like if they're preparing for the best the best moment of their lives, which is their dream future.
And we only get one life. There will never be another version of yourself. So the onus is on us to take advantage of each situation, each second, each moment, each hour of the day. Because when you start doing that, as you know, that compounds over time. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, I am super fit, even though I'm in my 50s. I am super, I have the business that I love now because there's alignment. And that's another piece, if I may chime in and add, the alignment. So a lot of these leaders, they don't have alignment. And it's about, Sandra, how do I find balance? I'm juggling a family and a business. And it's about creating that equilibrium in your life. So like you, amiga, you're in a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, your brain is more apt to be curious. And because you're curious, you're having fun. And this is why I'm like, who's this woman having fun? Because I want to connect with her. And this is quite honestly what brought us together. Your curiosity, your connection, your wantingness to collaborate with everyone you meet. And you're in a flow state. Yeah. And that you've achieved this as a result of stepping outside your comfort zone.
Thank you so much. And I've had the honor, privilege, and blessing of having amazing mentors. One of them, you. Because to me, you're such a big inspiration.
Thank you.
It's a big inspiration. And I think we all have the power of inspiring someone, inspiring the next person, the next generation. And we all love this influencer. If you are the influence of one person and you change one family who has their father 2 more hours at home, that's huge. Or a mom that went to run her business, but she can come back and play with her children. That's awesome. That's amazing. We're building a better society, a better future. So So definitely, I invite everyone watching to actually join Sandra, because I know in 7 months your life is going to be completely different. Your business is going to be transformed. So yeah, tell us last thing about sexy confidence, because this is beyond the book, and I want to. When did you make a decision of becoming an author?
I made the decision the day I lost my father. Quite honestly, I found my father unconscious, and we subsequently lost him 2 months later to COVID pneumonia. But the day I lost my father rocked me at my core, and I understood something Brendan Burchard talks about: mortality motivation. Tomorrow is not promised, ladies and gents. And it's our responsibility to maximize every single moment of our life with our thoughts, with our behaviors, with our actions. And it was that decision, once I realized that I had lost my father, who was ultimately my security, my stability during a time that I went through a difficult divorce. That day that I lost him, I said, I need to leave a blueprint for not only my daughters, for high achieving leaders that want to take command from the head seat at any table. And that's why I wrote this blueprint that shares my story, my personal and my professional stories.
Sexy confidence. It's available where?
It's available on Amazon, and I'm also excited because it's coming in Espanol and Spanish here pretty soon. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of things with the Latino community as well. Uh, thank God we can speak in English and we can learn from everyone who actually doesn't speak Spanish, but also we can bring information, knowledge to the Spanish community. So that's a big, big blessing. But yeah, so being sexy, tell me, if someone thinks being sexy, it's something that has to do with, Latina seduction. What is sexy confidence?
Ooh, great question. Thank you. Allow me to be very clear. Sexy confidence has nothing to do with appearance. Sexy confidence is a mindset, is an attitude that helps leaders create psychological safety for ourselves and for others by having a sexy body, sexy brain, and sexy business. And when you have those three components, you can create psychological safety for yourself and for your sphere of influence, which is needed now more than ever because there's so much more fear mongering in this world. You need to be that calm, composed leader that helps others stay calm and composed and create safety, because that's ultimately when people feel safe, they will generate solutions. When people feel safe, they will divulge information that you need to scale your business. When people feel safe, this world is a much better place.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandra, for being here and Beyond the Book. And go and get her book. Go and follow her on Instagram. Go and follow her on all the social channels, LinkedIn as well. And well, thank you again for being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.